Hey guys, this is Mark from Mark Melbourne TV, and I'm going to do another analysis on Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market space this week, covering what I think you should be doing in this market, what can you do in this market, some of the fundamental changes in the market, and some of the news that we've started to see around Bitcoin and some other altcoins. So let's start with the cryptocurrency market cap. So we've bounced off a low of 350 billion roughly, with a Bitcoin dominance of 34.6%. So this represents a drop of more than 50%, I think. So we were sitting at about 820 billion at our max, at the highest point. Everything looks pretty flat today. So very few in the green, but also very few in the double digits in the red. So this is good. Let's take a quick look. Yeah, so in the top 100, almost everything is less than 3% negative or 3% positive. So basically the market is in price discovery mode and trying to figure out whether that was the bottom. A lot of suggestions on Twitter suggest that 7,800 or 8,000, depending on which exchange you're looking at, was in fact the bottom for Bitcoin, and this may be the start of a big rally, but it's hard to say. So in this market, I'll suggest just moving slowly. Some of the people that I follow on social media is this guy, so Luke Mardon. His handle is @VentureCoiner. So if you guys don't use Twitter, definitely get on Twitter. There is a lot of good information there, and it is all for free. So one of the pieces of advice Luke often says is just to move slowly. There's no need to panic. You will be more profitable if you move more slowly in markets that are uncertain. Once there's confirmation and there's certainty, then you can move a bit faster, but in general it is a good idea to move slower. If you're also looking at Luke does a lot of Bitcoin and altcoin charting, and he also gives a lot of his to a lesser degree strategies around how you can move in the market. So definitely check out him there. Another guy I follow is Coin Mastery. So Carter Thomas does a lot of analysis on Bitcoin as well as the rest of the markets. He gives you strategies. He's quite objective. He's not biased. So it discusses the positives and negatives around certain theories or ideas or strategies when you're investing. So definitely check out his YouTube channel. If you haven't, he's one of the content creators that are less biased and also has very good psychology discussions as well. So check him out. Look, in this current market, what would I suggest? So what I have been doing is not too much, to be honest. So I've got a little bit of Bitcoin as part of my portfolio. So I've been looking at altcoins that have overextended in this dip and buying them up with the hope that they will recover first as Bitcoin starts moving back up again. So look, these are your options, right? So obviously it's good to keep this in mind before you even start trading, or before you even get into any sort of trades, right? So the idea is to plan ahead of time. So these are the options when I see a big crash of Bitcoin in particular. So you can sell and try to buy lower. I think that's not recommended and it's very risky. It's definitely not the game that I play. But if it works out, it can be profitable. What I'm doing is basically this one here. So buying cheap alts with Bitcoin when I've seen these altcoins drop by double digits, and just being patient when buying these altcoins too. So don't rush into buying these altcoins. But if you're seeing a lot of these altcoins or your favorite fundamentally sound altcoins take further dips than usual, this might be an opportunity to buy. If you've got some cash or fiat on exchange, then if you expect a drop in Bitcoin, it is good to have this cash ready on exchange, on BTC markets or whatever exchange you're on, and using it to buy Bitcoin, or and then eventually buy cheaper altcoins, or to buy Bitcoins and just hold if you expect Bitcoin to rally further. Tether, with all the stuff going on at the moment, I personally don't use Tether, even though I think that the risk isn't immediate. Like, I just still wouldn't use it. The other option is to just hold or hodl. So we've seen time and time again, if you've been in this space for long enough, you know that eventually if your coin that you've invested in, doesn't matter if you bought out fairly highs and it sucks, yes, to buy at the top, but in the long term, if the coin that you've invested in is fundamentally sound, you will see your profit again, and you don't lose until you sell. So while I wouldn't recommend just holding everything, I think something that Luke particularly talks about is having different strategies for different parts of his portfolio. So he has a short-term strategy. So he holds up to 3 or 4 altcoins which he uses for short-term strategies, and tries to trade those altcoins. And then he's got a long-term fundamentally sound investments that he doesn't plan on touching at all. And then he's got investment in ICOs. So he looks for quality and sound ICOs where he will invest maybe 10% of his overall capital or investment. So hopefully that helps. The next time you see a big crash, these are your options. Although when you first start out, it might seem like your options are a lot more limited. So there you go. So back here, let's have a look. So what else is happening in the background? So Lightning Network is slowly happening in the background. We've reached 1,000 payment channels. So it is being tested on the mainnet now. So we've done testing on the testnet and now on the mainnet. This is kind of cool. This shows all of the channels that are being opened up, and as you can see, it is growing. So there is definitely a risk at the moment, and it is going to take some time, but this is a step in the right direction, and I think that Lightning Network will remove the issue with fees and help with off-chain transactions. So more faster transactions, having channels between 2 parties without having to incur your fees, and without having to incur or having to worry about long transaction times. So what else is happening? So taking a step back, looking at Bitcoin and thinking about why Bitcoin has even dropped from 20,000 to where we are now, currently at 9,000. The main reasons are basically, one, we were overextended at 20,000. We were oversold, and many indicators suggested that there was a frenzy. I mean, there's a mania. It was being way overbought, so a correction was imminent. It was just a matter of time. But the continued drop below like 12,000, around that area, is due to a lot of FUD. So it started with Korean regulation and the suggestion that South Korea would ban Bitcoin altogether, and then there was the China FUD, and then there was more regulation around India recently, and it seems that a lot of this news is coordinated FUD. So like it seems to me too convenient that it all is happening at the same time, and there may be bigger plays happening here. So I think there are people out there, and bigger institutional investors and large players, whales, who are accumulating during these stages. So fundamentally, things haven't changed. If we had something that confirmed that South Korea, for example, banned cryptocurrencies, that is a fundamental change in Bitcoin. However, suggestions or change in regulations compared to a complete ban are two completely separate things. So just keep that in mind. Let's look at Bitcoin anyway. So a lot of people did predict that Bitcoin was going to drop out at, or bottom out at around the 8,500 mark. And if you're curious how they did this, it was based off Fibonacci retracement. So from the top here, 20,000. If I can get this going. So I don't really do trading analysis in my video because I don't understand it too well, and I just tend to avoid it for that reason. So, but if you draw a Fibonacci retracement to our last rally from here, you can see that where is it? So yeah, the recent lows down here where we sort of took off from the 5,500 to 5,600 mark, a retracement down to 50% is around 12,000, and then a retracement to 23.6% is down to 8,900. And if you look closely, that's right. Hang on. That's right here on the bottom candle, so around 8,700, with the remaining being at the outlier. So if you were expecting it to retrace to this Fibonacci point, setting your buys in between 8,700 or 8,800 to 9,300, maybe you're setting a buy at 9,300 and then one at 8,700, you would have gotten in what I would consider as the bottom. So if you're looking at bigger time frames, you could stretch this Fibonacci down here where we took off at 3,000, yeah, pretty much 3,000 exactly with the bottom wick there, and you can expect Bitcoin to go further down to 7,000. So that's the next point where I would be setting in my bids and consider putting in purchases there. But obviously this is just my opinion. This is where I would expect things to go if we went further. I am not a financial advisor. Obviously, do your own research. Don't base your purchases on my opinion or anyone else's opinion, but I am here to give you my thoughts. So having said that, I honestly think that this is the bottom and we will see a bit of a rally from here, which is good. So what's an example of an altcoin that's overcorrected in these past few weeks? So here we go. Ripple is one of the worst hit in January in this market decline. This is a perfect lesson for you guys who have just gotten into the market. So avoid FOMO buying. Don't buy at the top. So you can see what happens here if you buy things like Tron or Ripple once it's been shilled and it's reaching its all-time highs. Although you can still make money, you're at risk of a much bigger slide. So imagine buying Ripple at 18,000 sats and then now seeing it at 10,000. So you've lost more than 70%. So at the time, a lot of people were saying Ripple is going to overtake Bitcoin by coin market cap, and the Koreans were buying it and a lot was going on. But bottom line is, do not buy into this. What you want to do is buy it when there's no interest and then start selling as it starts reaching into these uncharted territories. And you don't have to sell the whole lot, and this is where moving slowly makes sense. So you might sell 5% at the all-time high, previous all-time high, and then sell another 5% every time it goes up 10%, or whatever strategy you want to go with. So anyway, having covered that, this is some current news. So US commodities regulator beefs up Bitcoin futures review. So basically this is just implying that the CTFC and SEC are probably going to have a meeting and they're going to crack down more on how futures and how general investments are going to be regulated by the SEC. So here's another one. So large corporations like Bank of America, JP Morgan are going to place a ban on credit card purchases of Bitcoin, so they're not completely banning or regulating against Bitcoin in general, but they will stop credit card purchases because of things like fraud and things like they can't track a lot of the information. So that's sort of this might be a fundamental change. However, I don't think it will have a big impact long term. Even if a country like South Korea bans Bitcoin, it will affect it it will affect the Bitcoin price quite a bit. However, I don't think that will destroy Bitcoin altogether. Anyway, so I thought I'd cover that. I will be making a video halfway through the week. This is the first time I've tried to record using the screen capture as well as having the camera pointing facing me. This is a typical format. I think this looks a lot better than how I've been doing it. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. I will be making a video on short-term trading strategies or ideas. So like one of them is with list rebranding in list rebranding in February. Z Classic, so Z Classic is going to be doing a Bitcoin private drop. So for every one Z Classic you're holding, I think it's February 28th, as long as by that date you're holding Z Classic, you will get one Bitcoin private. So I'll cover that a bit more. That's something I'm looking at holding through and potentially seeing through the snapshot and seeing what happens there. What else is happening? I think Ethereum Classic is also doing a fork, so a Callisto, a hard fork, I believe. I haven't really looked into it too much, but I will potentially be discussing this in a future video. So hopefully I can upload twice a week going forward. An issue I'm having is I do a lot of my videos on the weekend because I work during the week and I can only get good lighting in my room during this time. So if I can get some good lighting, I'll start recording and start releasing a second video throughout the week. Anyway guys, I hit 1,000 subscribers, really happy. Honestly, I didn't think I'd reach more than 30 subscribers in the first few months, just because I'm not very confident speaking in front of the camera. Obviously I'm getting better, but I'm still very stiff and it is all very new to me. So thank you for the subscribers, thank you for your comments, and it's starting to become very encouraging. Without the ongoing support, I'd probably start losing motivations to make these kind of videos. I am interested in this space. It develops my knowledge as well as it allows me to share what I've learned with you guys, and hopefully you guys get some value out of it. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, all the usual stuff, and I will join you guys in the next video. Peace.